We're going to switch gears a little bit in Chapter 6 in 6.4, use inverse functions. In this lesson, our functions will all be linear. Now, the definition for inverse of a function is the reflection over the line y equals x. Now, on a coordinate system, if we were to sketch the graph of that reflecting line, the line y equals x goes diagonally right through the middle with a slope of 1. You probably did work with reflections in geometry, but we did more shapes and ordered pairs versus now we're going to look at actual linear equations. The notation for an inverse function is f with a -1 and then an x in parentheses. And we read this as f inverse of x. And I want to just clarify, when you see that -1, it doesn't mean that it's doing the negative exponent property. So I just want to clarify right underneath here that it's not the same as 1 over the letter f of x. So we're not applying the negative exponent here. Remember, function notation, that f parenthesis x is all one kind of part. It's not two parts together. All right, so I just wanted to clarify that. Down below, it says write the inverse for each linear function. So what we're going to do here is just kind of look at some steps on the left-hand side and then see how we can apply it with two different functions on the right-hand side. We have 4 pretty straightforward steps to write the inverse of a linear function. The first thing we want to do is kind of eliminate that function notation and replace f of x with the y variable. So now we would just have x and y in our linear function. Then to show the inverse part, we switch the x and the y variables around. Everything else will stay the same. But from here, step 3, we want to actually get that y value back by itself again. So we're not switching anything this time, we're going to solve for y. Once you isolate that y variable, we'll replace y with f inverse of x, and we've created the inverse for a linear function. Let's see how this works over in example A. The original function is f of x equals -12x minus 7. On the graph, that would cross the y-axis at -7 with a very steep slope of -12. If we want to create the inverse for this function, which would be the reflection over the line y equals x, the first thing that we do is we simply replace f of x with y. We write it out as y equals -12x minus 7. In step 2, we switch the x and the y variables. And again, everything else stays in the same location. X equals -12y minus 7. And then in step 3, we want to get y by itself. Now we'll incorporate some algebra. If we want to isolate that y variable, we would need to move 7 to the other side. And that gives us x plus 7 equals -12y. If y is being multiplied by -12, we have to divide by -12. And there's y by itself. Pretty simple. In step 4, I'm just going to put a little star right here. Not only are we going to replace y with f inverse of x, but we're going to write this in slope-intercept form by separating the slope, which would be x over -12, and that's -1/12 times x. Technically, there's a 1 out in front, and 1 over -12 would be a -1/12 slope. And then I'm going to do the second part, 7 over -12. Positive 7 over -12 is minus 7/12. This equation would be the inverse of the linear function f of x equals -12x minus 7. In our next example, h of x equals 2/3 x plus 5. Notice we've changed the function notation from f of x to h of x, and that's totally okay to do. In step 1, instead of replacing f of x with y, we're going to replace h of x with y. Instead of h of x equals, we'll just start with y equals 2/3 x plus 5. Step 2, we'll switch our x and our y variable. X equals 2/3 y plus 5. And then in step 3, we get y by itself. To move the 5 over now, we're going to subtract. And this gives us x minus 5 equals 2/3 y. So watch what happens in this next step. We've talked about this like at the very beginning of the year, way back in chapters 1 and 2. The easiest way to eliminate a fraction in an equation when you're trying to isolate a variable is to multiply each side by the reciprocal. And if we do that on the right, I'm going to put that out in front, but we have to put the x minus 5 in parentheses. Maybe that's another good place for a star, something to remember. On the right, the 3's cancel and the 2's cancel, and that means we have y by itself. Then we can go into our step 4. Now we're not replacing y with f inverse, we're actually going to replace y with h inverse. H inverse of x, well, I don't like that, hang on, let me fix that quick. I want it to actually look like that -1. There we go, equals. And now to simplify our product up above, 3/2 times x is just 3/2 x, that's our new slope, minus 3/2 times 5. If I put 5 over 1, remember we're multiplying, so we're just going to multiply straight across, numerators and denominators. 3 times 5 is 15, and 2 times 1 is 2. The equation for the inverse of h of x, there I go, is h inverse of x equals 3/2 x minus 15/2. So if you're wondering where that definition comes into play, where it's the reflection over the line y equals x, we're going to be able to see that definition when we sketch the graph. These are the last 2 examples for this page, so use all the space that you need. It says graph each function and its inverse. We are going to sketch a graph for each of these. Then determine the equation for the inverse. We have g of x equals 2x plus 1. And over here on the right, p of x equals negative 1/3 x minus 3. Maybe start just by writing c down, and we'll go through that work, and then you can kind of gauge your space for d over on the right. When we start by sketching the graph of the original function, try your best to make your graph over on the right-hand side. Now, if we draw in the reflecting line y equals x, that reflecting line just is a diagonal from left to right. I'm going to pick a different color for this and just draw that in with a dashed line. Now the slope is technically 1. It should be right in the middle of quadrant 3 on the bottom and quadrant 1 on the top right. Then to sketch the graph of g of x equals 2x plus 1, I'm going to make a table. And I'm going to pick numbers for x, doesn't matter what you pick, and then we have to solve for our y values on the graph. A good number to start with is 0. That's pretty easy. If we plug in 0 for x, 2 times 0 plus 1 equals 1. I'm going to pick a couple other numbers. Plug in 1 for x, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, and then maybe I'll go out to 3. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. I'm also going to pick a couple of negative numbers, but this shouldn't take us long. If I go to -1, 2 times -1 is -2, plus 1 would be -1. Let's pick one more negative number. I'll just go to -2. 2 times -2 is -4, plus 1 is -3. Now what I want you to do is plot these ordered pairs, 0, 1, 1, 3, 3, 7, and so on, and connect those points and draw your line from edge to edge on your graph. And note that for your assignment and on the assessment, I will give you graph paper if you'd like. It might take a little practice, but your line should look something like this. All we've done is we've drawn in our reflecting line in red, and then I have my original function g of x in black. And obviously it's a little trickier to make this a straight line, so just try the best that you can. Now what we're going to do is draw the line for the inverse. The inverse as a table, remember by definition is the reflection over the line y equals x. So I'm going to write x and y in the same order, but I'm going to reflect the ordered pairs. This means 0, 1 is going to become 1, 0. 1, 3 is going to become 3, 1. So we're just switching the x and the y, kind of like we did in the definition up above. We'll have 7, 3, -1, -1, and then the last one will be -3, 2. Excuse me, -2. There we go. If you have multiple colors, this is kind of a nice time to do that. However, I do expect that you label your graph either way, and so as long as you know this one is g of x for the first line, we'll label our other one with the inverse. Take a moment if you would, and now plot these ordered pairs. And hopefully you'll be able to tell how that definition kind of comes into this picture. And again, when you're done, hopefully your graph looks something like this. Now the definition for the reflection, if we took our paper and we folded it along that red line, the blue line and the black line should match on each other. Notice it kind of looks like that black line could reflect over and connect with the blue, and then the black would reflect over and connect with the blue up above. You don't have to draw those in necessarily, but I'm just trying to show you how that definition works. Our next step then is to write the equation for that inverse function. To do that, we're just going to do those same 4 steps that we did up above. So to write the equation, the first thing we do is we take g of x and we switch it with y. Y equals 2x plus 1. Step 2, we switch x and y around. X equals 2y plus 1. Step 3 is where we incorporate a little bit of algebra. We need to get y by itself. I'm going to move the 1 over. We have x minus 1 equals 2y. And then divide each side by 2. So these steps are pretty straightforward. Hopefully you agree. In our last step, that's when we actually write the equation for the inverse. Remember, our function was g of x, making our inverse g inverse of x. And then we have to simplify again. So this is something that we have to recognize from before. We take the x over the denominator, and technically the number in front of x is 1, which means our slope is 1/2. And then we take that last part, the negative 1 over 2, and that's technically our y-intercept. So our function equation for the inverse is g inverse of x equals 1/2 x minus 1/2. So go ahead and look at your picture. The y-intercept is negative 1/2. And if you go up to the graph itself, do you see how that blue line actually crosses at negative 1/2? So this is the valid equation for that blue line up above. In our final example, p of x equals negative 1/3 x minus 3. Go ahead and draw your graph over on the right, take your time, and then we'll create a table and plot points for p of x. And just like that, I've got my graph on my paper. I have the reflecting line y equals x. I'm just approximating where that is. On your actual assignment with graph paper, you can actually figure out like all the coordinates that would be on that line. Let's go ahead and pick points for p of x equals negative 1/3 x minus 3. A great point to start with is 0. If you plug in 0 for x, your output is negative 3. But with this denominator of 3, if I pick 1, I'm going to get a fraction. So I'm going to move over on my graph to positive 3. And if we take negative 1/3 times positive 3, negative 1/3 times 3 is just negative 1. And then minus 3 would equal negative 4. And then I'm going to double that. I'm going to go all the way over to positive 6. If we take negative 1/3 times 6, that would be 6 over 1. That would give us negative 2. And then minus 3 would give us negative 5. I think that's plenty for that right-hand side. Watch what happens when we go over to negative 3 on the left. If we take negative 1/3 times negative 3, that would give us positive 1. And 1 minus 3 would be negative 2. And then I'm going to go over to negative 6. And if we do negative 1/3 times negative 6, we get positive 2. And 2 minus 3 is negative 1. When we plot these points, this line won't be very steep, but from left to right, it should fall. Please plot 0, negative 3, 3, negative 4, and so on, and then connect your line as best you can through these 5 ordered pairs. Hopefully your line looks a little better than mine. I bumped my iPad as I was doing this, and I just didn't want to go back and erase it and start over. So that's as good as that line is going to get. All right, for the inverse, remember we're just going to switch those ordered pairs. So let's go ahead and try to squeeze that in right here if you can. For the inverse. And I'm just going to switch those ordered pairs around. -3, 0, -4, 3, -5, 6, -2 and -3, and then -1 and -6. And then please plot those points. And we're going to remember to label this one. We're actually going to go back and label the inverse on the first one as well. But let's just get this one done. When you look at the picture, the ultimate goal is to have the two equations that you graphed intersect on that green line. Mine's a little bit off. If we had graph paper, they should be an exact match. So they should meet right on that reflecting line. So my apologies if that's a little bit off. All right, let's get this finished up by writing the equation. I'm going to let you try. Take the 4 steps and create P inverse of x. When you feel you're ready, press play and we'll see how it went. When you're finished, you should get P inverse of x equals -3x minus 9. So that graph should cross all the way down at -9 on the y-axis. Again, recognize that we just took a look at labeling this equation with P inverse of x, but if you go back over to the first one, I forgot to label that one. So in blue on that first one, since the equation was G inverse, let's make sure to write G inverse of x on that, or like right next to that equation. That way, if you don't have different colors, you can see where that reflection went. And that's it, everybody, for lesson 6.4.